I'm Steve Lascalzo, and this is The Way. Welcome to the Season 2 preview podcast for the critically acclaimed Andor, a Star Wars story, streaming soon on Disney+. The first 3 episodes will debut Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025 at 9 p.m. Eastern, with 3 episode blocks dropping weekly until the finale is revealed May 13th. If this is your first time joining me for a podcast, thank you so much. I started with episodes of The Mandalorian, and that was also coinciding with the debut of Disney+. That's like 5+ years ago now. At that point, Rogue One was just less than 3 years old. One of the best scenes in Star Wars, in my opinion, came out of that movie. And with apologies to Diego Luna and Felicity Jones, it was Daniel Napus as Darth Vader that made the movie for me. Napus is the one in the suit for that hallway scene. Before I move forward, you should understand what this podcast is. These podcasts are going to be about what happens during the show, and you'd think that'd be obvious, but I have gotten feedback before. Why'd you spoil this? This particular episode is going to come before we know what happens in the show. I have not seen screeners. I know there are people out there who have seen the entire second season, but I'm going to talk about what I know, and that includes trailers, interviews, official interviews, and things that happen at Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025. So if hearing notes about production or hearing things that have already come out on social media at Star Wars Celebration or through official channels will spoil a future watch for you, then maybe come back later. Otherwise, feet forward, hands on head.
On program.
Tony Gilroy, writer and script fixer, is the showrunner for Andor. Now, if you've listened to my coverage of Season 1, you're familiar with his work. This guy is the one that wrote The Cutting Edge. So for me, right out of the gate, he was someone to take notice of. But he also wrote The Devil's Advocate, Armageddon, the Bourne series of movies, Michael Clayton, Rogue One, and episodes 1, 2, 3, 11, and 12 of Season 1 of Andor, and 1, 2, and 3 of Season 2. The directors for Season 2 handled blocks of shows, and the first 6, so 2 blocks of 3 episodes, 2 different story arcs, are going to be under the direction of Ariel Kleiman. Kleiman did an episode of Yellow Jackets, 2 episodes of The Resort, but I feel like his film Partisan, starring Vincent Cassel, is what closely matches the tone that Gilroy was after for Andor. Kleiman will handle Gilroy's scripts for the first block, and then Beau Willimon's 4, 5, and 6 before passing the director's chair to Janusz Metz. Metz is most notable for a Season 2 episode of True Detective, but his movie Armadillo about Danish soldiers sent to Afghanistan is probably what earned him this job on Andor. Willimon is the writer, executive producer, and creator of House of Cards from Netflix, but he wrote on Season 1 of Andor and is executive producer of Severance from Apple TV+, which is a giant success for that platform. Now, who's going to direct Dan Gilroy's scripts for 7, 8, and 9? That will be Metz. Dan is Tony Gilroy's brother and an accomplished scriptwriter himself, even directed his scripts for Nightcrawler, Roman J. Israel Esquire, and Velvet Buzzsaw. Then Metz will give way to director Alonso Ruiz Palacios, who will handle the scripts written by Tom Bissell. If you're a big video gamer, you might recognize his name. He's primarily writing for video games, but each 3-episode block in Season 2 is going to cover a story set in a different year, leading between Season 1 of Andor and Rogue One. I wonder if they wrote them like movies and then broke them up, or did they write each episode separately? I'm not entirely sure, but they're each taking care of one story, so maybe it's just like long-form TV or a mini-series. It's very interesting to me because we're going to have there's going to be cohesion between the story blocks themselves, but I don't know if it'll be jarring. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see if watching 1, 2, and 3 is so different from 4, 5, and 6, or if it just feels like a continuation of the story.
Let's have it.
Andor's first episode in Season 1 revealed that it's set 5 years before the Battle of Yavin. Before the Battle of Yavin is what BBY stands for in the Star Wars timeline. Think BC, like before Christ, or now, as the woke say, BCE for before the Common Era. The Battle of Yavin occurs at the end of the first ever Star Wars movie, which would later become Episode 4, A New Hope. So this timeline does not center around the events of Return of the Jedi when the Empire first really fell. It's the first strike from the rebellion on the Empire at the end of New Hope when the Death Star was destroyed. Now, at the time that it was released, it was just Star Wars. So that's not news to most diehard fans, but maybe you're not coming from a background that is steeped in the theatrical lore of a galaxy far, far away. Gilroy's scripts for episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Season 2 are going to take place and tell a story from somewhere around 4 years BBY. But I got the impression from listening to him speak at Star Wars Celebration Japan this year that it doesn't mean that the story is going to span the whole year. There might be time jumps, but for the most part, it seemed as if he's trying to tell a story each week of a pivotal event each year. Not necessarily of everything that's happening during that year. One of the things revealed by Mon Mothma star Genevieve O'Reilly is that the episode 1 is going to begin on Chandrila with a wedding, presumably of Mothma's daughter to Davos Golden's son, as we saw them setting it up in Season 1. So there may be time jumps inside the episodes, but I don't expect all of the events in that first story block to be happening surrounding that wedding. Maybe they are. Because there's also reports from people providing screeners that the first 3 episodes are going to feature Cassian Andor's theft of a TIE Avenger fighter. That is happening just a few years before Ezra Bridger and Sabine Wren would help scuttle efforts of Grand Admiral Thrawn to move forward with a TIE Defender product. That happened during the events of Rebels. So the first 3 episodes take place sometime in 4 BBY. Are they 3 consecutive days, or is it all one day in BBY? I don't know. It'll be written by Tony Gilroy and directed by Ariel Kleiman. Kleiman will then continue directing episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Season 2, written by Bo Willimon, that House of Cards and Severance guy, and those will be set during 3 BBY. Again, is it 3 days in 3 BBY, or is it over a few months? We'll have to wait and see. Jana Schmetz and Tony's brother Dan, they collaborated as director and credited writer for 3 episodes in 2 BBY. So Season 2, episodes 7, 8, and 9 are somewhere in 2 BBY. 2 years before the Battle of Yavin, 2 years before A New Hope. And then the final trilogy, 10, 11, and 12 of Season 2 of Andor, take place during 1 BBY to 0 BBY. So it's concurrent with many of the events of that animated Star Wars Rebels series. Alonso Ruiz Palacios will direct, and the scripts are from Tom Bissell, and those will dovetail into the first moments of Rogue One, the movie that Tony Gilroy came in to help fix, and I guess that's what gave him the idea for this series.
If there's any hope for all of it, it's in community. And that, I think that's where we've really come at the end of it. I know Diego feels the same way. I think we all do. That's finally what our show is in its most natural form is about.
In episode recap and discussions, I like to discuss crew, but it varies much more than the cast does. So I'm not going to go through IMDb and look for all of the crew credits. That will come as I think they're necessary during the season coverage. But I did notice composer Nicholas Bertel will not be back to score all of Season 2. That was a speculation. Is he going to be back? Is he not? They didn't announce anything. And then early in April, it was revealed that he's said to have some conflicts, which limited him to just 2 episodes of work. But he did provide additional themes, which Brandon Roberts is going to expand upon. Roberts doesn't have anything that stands out on his resume to me, but in Gilroy, I trust. And remember, Bertel is the guy who wrote a different theme song for every episode of Andor Season 1. I don't think we're getting that this time around, but maybe it's not necessary. Maybe there are 4 different themes and they center around each block of shows. Maybe there's just one theme and it's ramping up to for the rebellion to take on the Empire. I don't know, but we will wait and see.
Oh, I'm sure that's something that can be arranged.
Now it's time to discuss a little about the cast. First, let's address some rumors that I've heard about recastings. Not from Andor Season 1, but from roles in Rogue One that transfer over to Andor. Now, it has been reported that Jyn Erso and Bail Organa have been recast. Now, Jimmy Smits has played Bail Organa since the prequels, but he was reportedly unavailable to return, and people who have seen the second season indicated he's been replaced by Benjamin Bratt. There's also a rumor about Jyn Erso being recast. I don't know how. K2SO is sent out to rescue her after Cassian kills his contact on the Ring of Kafrene in Rogue One. So she shouldn't appear in Andor unless she's on a vid screen or a holo. We got to go save this girl. It is possible she gets mentioned, but I don't know why she would appear in the show unless it has something to do with her being tied to Saw Gerrera. I thought it said that she or he abandoned her years ago, so maybe it happens early in Cassian Andor Season 2. I don't know. The protagonist of Rogue One was Erso, right? Because she's trying to find her father, Galen Erso. But here in this show, the protagonist is Cassian Andor, so I don't know that Erso is as important. Diego Luna reprises his role from Rogue One as Cassian Andor, but obviously this whole series is taking place before the events of Rogue One. Genevieve O'Reilly plays Mon Mothma, and she has since the prequels been playing this character, although that was a long time ago, and those scenes were deleted and not used in the theatrical release. So she got more notice from playing Mon Mothma in Rogue One. And then she did voice her in Rebels. Stellan Skarsgård was a new character for this show. He will be back as Luthen Rael, the rebel causing trouble for the Empire, who the ISB called him Axis. And I always think that's kind of funny because in Rebels, there was Fulcrum. So there's an Axis and a Fulcrum. His cover, of course, is that eccentric art and antiquities dealer on Coruscant. It's a great character. And then my sleeper favorite is Elizabeth Dulau as Clea Marquis. She's Luthen's assistant. This is such a great Star Wars character. And it's not a huge one. It's not a huge role, but I'm just so sad that she's not in more. Dulau does such great work, and she makes Marquis a totally believable super spy. Faye Marseille is Vel Sartha. That is actually the sister of Mon Mothma, and don't tell me you haven't seen Season 1 and now you're listening and that's spoiling something for you. She's a secret rebel who may very well be the person who got the senator involved in the rebellion. Marseille, you may recognize, her most prominent role, in other words, in my opinion at least, was as the waif in Game of Thrones. Denise Goff, or Gao, is Dedra Meero. I'm not sure. I think it's Goff. She's the ambitious supervisor in the Imperial Security Bureau that's trying to make a name for herself. She's trying to weed out the blooming rebellion, and she kind of gets hooked up with Cyril Karn. I don't mean hooked up as, well, I mean, there might be some romantic tension there, but Cyril Karn is played by Kyle Soller, and this is a guy who did great voice work for video games. He was in Poldark as Francis, but he really shines as this corpo internal affairs guy. He's a little too self-righteous for his own good. Brasso, the big friend of Cassian, is played by Joplin Sibtain. It looks like from the trailers he's going to have a little bit larger role this time around. He's a longtime actor, provided voice for Star Wars games like Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. And then there's Adria Arjona, Bix Kayleen. I guess she survived all that torture, and she played in True Detective, Pacific Rim, Uprising, Morbius, the Father of the Bride reboot, and she voices the Fortnite character Ramirez in the Save the World campaign. B2EMO is voiced by Dave Chapman, and I'm sorry to say, just like I said during season 1, I prefer his work as BB-8 to B2EMO or B2EMO. I did not care for the voice of this droid. I like the droid, I just don't like the voice. They needed to do something extra to it, because it's just a voice, it just doesn't work for me. I love the droid, okay? I just don't like the voice. And Chapman is an extremely accomplished voice actor, but it's like they forgot to do some processing to it or something, because it's not cute. It just, I don't know. Droids are usually cute.
Cassian, I brought what you told me.
There are others that we will meet as we go along, but these are the big ones that I think we're going to have large parts to play in Season 2. But again, haven't seen it, so I could be wrong. Let's find out together.
Listen to me. It's important.
I decided against doing a shot-for-shot trailer review because if you wanted to see them, you've seen them. If you wanted to see the clips, they're out there. The trailers have made some things clear. Like, we're going to see Ben Mendelsohn as Director Krennic again. But are we going to see a CGI Tarkin like we did in Rogue One? I'm not sure. We see a wheat planet. Will it be Lothal or a new planet? We see Yavin 4, but that's to be expected, right? I mean, we know we see it in Rogue One. Featurettes indicated we're going to see Gorman, and the trailers make it seem like we're going to see the massacre. But does that mean that we're going to get a redux of Mothma's address to the galaxy in the wake of that Gorman massacre, like we see in Rebels? That's the thing that makes her go into hiding, basically.
I name the Emperor himself for ordering the brutal attacks on the people of Gorman. Their peaceful world is one of countless systems helpless against his oppressive rule.
We've heard already that we're going to see Leida's wedding, Mon Mothma's daughter, and we're going to see the TIE theft in the first 3 episodes, I believe. But how much of what we've seen in the trailers ends up in the latter half of the season? Traditionally, we don't see anything in the last 25% of the season in the trailers. It's like once you get to the 75% of the season is done, you have no idea what's coming. There's no clips, no shots from the end of the season traditionally. Now, that's why I'm not doing my traditional trailer watch during the season. I mean, that's just, I check to see what shots remain in each episode in the first season, I believe, and other shows. And some of what I usually do in addition to that is just not going to be possible due to the volume of episodes I'm going to have to research each week. I mean, 3 episodes of Andor every week, and I'm going to do a wrap-up podcast for the block, and it's just going to be my first watch, my reaction to what I've seen. I'll talk very briefly, but I will say, I liked this, I didn't like this, I noticed this, and then I'm going to go back and do 3 more podcasts on those 3 episodes, 1 episode at a time. At least that's the plan. So I might include discussion if you send feedback or comments to This Is The Way Podcast's email address, thisisthewaypodcast@gmail.com. But unlike previous shows, I'm not going to guarantee that I will include your feedback if you send it. I just have a day or 2 to research and record each episode. And at least at the start, I'm going to be learning how to do this for 3 show episodes and 4 podcasts a week, along with that my daily Tampa Bay Rays baseball podcast called Baseball Rays Dio. So that's already 7 episodes a week of podcasting, plus 1 wrap-up and 3 show episodes for Andor. I mean, I do want to hear from you. There's always a chance that one of the emails that I'm sent makes it into the show, but I'm trying my best. There's no guarantees this time around. But I do hope you'll follow me on this Andor second season journey, because everything that is pointing to it says this is going to be good. It wasn't the most watched show on Disney+, but it is definitely probably the most critically acclaimed. Thank you for joining me for this preview of the second season of Andor. I'm your host, Silas Gazzo, and this is the way. May the Force be with you, always.